Hi everyone, this is Gutierrez and I teach 6th grade language arts, and I want to welcome you to a new school year, and I'm excited that your child is in my class, and I'm looking forward to get the opportunity to work with your child and foster a love for reading and writing. I have been teaching for 29 years. Most of my experience has been in the elementary school, which I absolutely adored. And 7 years ago, I moved up to Washington Middle School. And Washington Middle School is near and dear to my heart because my children attended Washington Middle School. And also, my husband, Mr. Gutierrez, is the Dean of Students. So we have long connections with Washington Middle School. And my ultimate goal is to create lifelong readers and thinkers. And in language arts, we'll explore a variety of literature, including novels, short stories, poems, personal essays, and nonfiction articles. We use the Springboard curriculum that the district provides for us, which is a wonderful curriculum, but we intersperse that within our own lessons. Your child will be experiencing a focus on narrative essay, explanatory essay, which also explanatory writing will be the main purpose of paragraph responses, and then we'll have reflection responses. They will also have journaling and quick writes and regular participation in discussions. So in language arts, we read in order to write. And for example, that means that when your child is going to write a narrative, know that they have spent a lot of time in narrative instruction long before we ask them to write it. They will identify narrative elements, read narratives, see an author's craft before ever writing their own. We believe that our readers should be responsive readers. So this slide is quite long, so if you would like, you could pause the video right here and read through it to find out what a responsive reader is. But basically, a responsive reader is present in mind and heart when she or he are reading the text. And what we really want them to have text that matters to them, that they have a response to, a feeling, an emotion, because in that way, then they're more likely to remember it and engage with it. And our job as your child's teacher is to provide text that touches them emotionally and intellectually. So we're finding that text that does that for those kids, and create readers that are aware not only the text, but the effects the text has upon them and what they can do to the world, with the world. So I love this quote. If the reader isn't responsive, if they don't let the text awaken emotion or inspire thoughts, then they can barely be said to be reading at all. And that's what a responsive reader does, right? We want them to be inspired by emotion or thoughts, because that's where the real reading and thinking comes. And that quote is by Kylene Beers and Robert Prost, who are great language arts gurus. So for independent reading, your child, we often will participate in independent reading, or it's often called choice reading or soft start. We dedicate 10 minutes, about 10 minutes of every class period to independent reading because it's that important. Students will be reading independent selected books. That's their choice. We're working on teaching them how to select a book that's just right for them based on text complexity, interest, their understanding, vocabulary. And our goal, when I say our, I mean Mrs. Montgomery's goal and mine, both of our language arts teachers, we work very closely together and teach the same things. So creating lifelong readers is one of our main goals. And we believe choice is the #1 key ingredient to having a lifelong reader. So students are expected and encouraged to read 30 minutes each day, but we will not do any reading logs or AR tests, right? We hope to be reading with your children, meeting with them to chat about books and their understanding. And here is a graphic that we love that also came from Kylene Beers and Robert Prost's book, and it talks a lot about sheer time in text. Engagement in text increases those standardized test scores, just sheer time in text. We grade based on standard-based grading. So all our assignments are graded at a 3, 2, or 1. So 3 meets the grade level standards. It demonstrates the understanding and consistently and independently. A 2 is partially, and 1 does not meet the standards. And if a student receives a 1 or 2, this shows that the assignment needs to be redone after provided support or feedback. All right. So grading that you will see in Skyward is mostly content grading. So this grade will be based on assessments, papers, essays, and projects. Late work and content grade is not penalized, but it will impact effort grade. So we will never penalize their content grade if an assignment is late. That doesn't show us if they understand the content or not. That's effort. So behavior and effort, this grade will be based on behavior, attitude, participation, and effort. We do not put those grades into Skyward. That is recorded elsewhere, and then it will be on the report card only. Okay, there's a behavior and effort grade. So completion grade, this grade is used to communicate through Skyward or Schoology if work has been completed. It also does not impact the overall language arts grade, but it does serve as a little marker if you have your work done, if you don't have your work done. All right, and grades can be accessed in Skyward, on Schoology, and graded assignments. And we will show you how to do that on a Schoology tour to be posted soon. And the grade breakdown for language arts is 100% of the language arts grade is content knowledge. 0% behavior and effort, 0% completion. We use rubrics in 6th grade, and we use rubrics to assess students' work as an instructional tool instructional tool to promote learning, meaning that your students are going to learn how to use a rubric, how to read a rubric, how to use that to help them make sure that they have all the elements required to receive a standard score. And if not, then they can use the rubric to see what did they miss and what do they need to add to reach standard. All right, and we're going to teach them that. We first start out with teacher feedback, then peer feedback, self-feedback, and then there's also computer feedback. So that's what your students are learning right now. We always give the rubric ahead of time before the assignment. So how to help your student. We, now more than ever, we're partners in education. You are your students, your child's first teacher. We appreciate all that you've done and that you're sharing your student with us. All right, but how do you help your student in middle school? Well, allow students to read books of their choice, encourage students to read a variety of text, and really take an interest in what they're reading. Ask them about their reading. Read the book with them. Ask them to tell you about the book. What's something that recently surprised them? You can ask that while they're reading, after they're reading. Take a real interest. You can also ask about school in general, like what has changed, challenged, or confirmed your thinking? I mean, that's a great open-ended question that applies to any class. And have students read their writing out loud to you or a pet or a sibling to help them edit and revise. When you read your own writing out loud, that's where you catch the mistakes. That's where you realize what you are thinking in your mind isn't what really is on the paper. And when students score a 2 or 1, remind them to go back and look for teacher feedback to revise and resubmit. And look for the weekly log and lesson summary videos in Schoology. We do a summary of the assignments for the week that you can access really quickly. And also there are videos for the week's lessons in case your child misses school due to illness or an appointment or internet issues. Zoom participation and expectations. Ours are really simple. Be on time. That means be prepared, have your book ready because we're going to be reading it. Check technology before class. Mute yourself, especially upon entry, and there's also oftentimes noise in the background, so it's important to mute yourself and unmute when you want to speak. Be present. So we're asking people to be an active participant, be focused, and pay attention. That's where you probably need to help us with this task. Oftentimes kids like to open a different browser or be doing something else on the side when they should be paying attention, and we don't have the eyes for that. But be present is a Zoom expectation, and chat responsibly. Children have an option on Zoom to do a chat and type in, and we ask students to post class-related questions and comments only. And your children know these Zoom expectations. We talked about them. We formed them together on the first few days of school. There will be a Schoology tour video posted in Schoology soon. It's how to see grades, how to submit, resubmit work, weekly assignment log, and videos of lesson summaries, which are also located on the weekly assignment log. So Mrs. Montgomery and I are in the process of making that. So it will be posted in your child's ELA course. We just thought this introduction video would be too long if we incorporated that now. And thank you for watching, and thank you for sharing your children with me this year. That is such an honor, and it has been my pleasure to get to know them so far. I would not have believed that I could get to know them through Zoom, but I am starting to get to know their personalities, what they're thinking, and you have lovely children. Thank you so much. And the best way to contact me is through email. Even after we get back to school, in person, please still use email. I check that before and after school, and oftentimes I can check it at lunch or in between classes, but I promise to get back to you at least by after school. If it's really late, then the next morning. And there's my email address, and be warned, my email address starts with a R-O, and Mr. Gutierrez, who works at the same school, his does not have the O in there. It's R. Gutierrez. So oftentimes people confuse us. So I don't blame them. That's pretty confusing. All right. Well, thank you for watching, and welcome to Washington Middle School 6th grade families. And thank you for sending me your children.